Now, you can experience MIDAS CAD INFRA-DESIGN's sectional property calculator, which was previously used to effectively calculate the characteristics of complex cross-sectional shapes in MIDAS Civil. The SPC feature in MIDAS CAD INFRA-DESIGN offers the same functionality as in MIDAS Civil, allowing you to directly calculate sectional properties within MIDAS CAD INFRA-DESIGN and seamlessly integrate them with MIDAS Civil. You can create plane type, line type, and composite type. And now, freely generate and modify object shapes in a more familiar CAD workspace to calculate sectional properties. Here's plane type first. Click on the ribbon menu, Infra-Design, SPC at the top, to access the function. And then, click the Add button to open the window for calculating sectional properties. First, select intersecting objects for cross-sectional characteristic calculation, as shown in the command window. And then, enter the name and specify the type of the section. Next, specify external objects to define the section of plane type. In this process, the outermost enclosed section among all selected objects is recognized as the external object. After specifying the external object, proceed to specify the internal objects. If there are multiple internal objects, you need to select each closed object one by one. And also, after selecting an object, press the space bar to add each internal closed object one by one. Once you've finished selecting all objects, you can adjust the mesh density to modify the element mesh size. Then, click on Calculate Civil Section Properties to compute the sectional properties. At this point, if the checkbox for Display Mesh Density Preview is enabled, you can preview the mesh of the resulting section in advance. You can review the calculated sectional properties in the table at the bottom right. If any changes are needed, such as unit adjustments, you can confirm the updated cross-sectional properties in the results window by modifying the table settings at the bottom left. If the characteristics of the calculated section, such as sectional area or the moment of inertia, have changed, you can modify the calculated section to update it with the new property values. First, select the modified section, then click the Modify button to enter the sectional properties calculation window. Afterward, reselect the external and internal objects in order, and recalculate the sectional properties to confirm the updated section characteristics. Once all settings are completed, press the OK button to save the calculation results. To save the section file, go back to the cross-section property calculation window. Click on SEC Export, and then import the saved file into MIDAS Civil for further use. This is the process of importing and verifying the section created in MIDAS CAD INFRA-DESIGN into MIDAS Civil. When loading the section file, you can confirm that the calculated sectional properties are imported well. Next, using the imported section file, we've created elements. And you can see that the element creation process works seamlessly. Next, let's proceed with the explanation of line type. Execute the SPC feature to calculate sectional properties. After executing the feature, enter the section name and set the section type to line. Next, to define the line type section, click on Define Thickness, select the line object, and input the thickness for each line to define the thickness. At this point, the entered thickness is temporarily visible on the object and will disappear after completing the use of the SPC feature. However, in the preview window, the entered thickness will be visualized. Once the thickness for each line object is specified, proceed to define the closed section. If there are multiple closed sections, select one closed section at a time in sequence. Next, to define flange and web information, activate the steel design type. When the steel design type is activated, the design group setting feature is enabled, allowing you to define flange and web information through this functionality. Setting up groups for each flange and web thickness in design group setting. And once the number of groups for steel design section design is entered, click Calculate Civil Sectional Properties to calculate the sectional properties. Here, if you wish to output and review the calculated sectional properties, you can click Create Sectional Results to display the calculation results on the workspace. If you wish to output and review the sectional results in an Excel file, click the Radio button for Excel instead of InfraDesign, and then proceed to output the sectional results. Afterward, similar to the plane type, click OK to save the calculation results. Click SEC Export to save the section file, enabling integration with MIDAS Civil. Next is the result of integrating with MIDAS Civil. And you can verify that the sectional properties are imported intact. Lastly, let's discuss the sectional property calculation for composite type. Composite type can be created by combining plane type and line type. For the purpose of enhancing understanding of the usage of composite type, the video uses an arbitrary example section. First, click the Add button, then intersect the objects for sectional properties. Afterward, set the name and type of the section. To define the slab of the composite section, click Select External to choose the slab section for plane type settings as previously shown. Once the selecting section is complete, calculate the sectional properties after configuring the appropriate unit system settings. Next, once again, cutting the intersecting section of the steel box, just like previous step. Afterward, enter the section name and set the line type to define the steel box. Afterward, select all the line objects for line type settings, input the thickness, and configure the section. Once all settings are complete, calculate the sectional properties, and then review the results for line type sectional properties. Since SPC sections for both slab and steel box have been individually configured, let's go back to the sectional properties calculation window to define the composite section once again. After setting the section name and type, click on the Setting Material to define the material for each section. In this window, input values, such as modulus of elasticity and Poisson's ratio, for steel and concrete. After that, check the base material for the material that serves as the reference to obtain equivalent sectional properties. Press OK button to define the material properties. Next, set the number of parts and match the appropriate material properties based on the characteristics of the previously created slab and steel box in the matching section. Once all settings are complete, calculate the sectional properties for the composite section, and then verify if the properties for all sections have been calculated successfully. Similarly, press OK button to save the calculated section properties, and clicking SEC Export allows you to save the section file. This is the process of importing the SPC sections of the composite section, created in InfraDesign, into MIDAS Civil for verification. You can confirm that the calculated sectional property values for all sections are imported correctly.